Good evening, Grace Lutheran Church. This is Pastor David Chung. I hope you are wrapping up this 2021 well as we are getting ready for a new year. Speaking of New Year, did you get a gym membership? Because that's what people do, right? This is New Year and we set some good goals, including our physical fitness. We want to be healthier, and a lot of people will sign up for gym, and most of the gyms in Tulare County will be busier and packer than before, because that's what people do. So I think you should do that as well. I think it's good for us to be healthy. But on top of that, I want to suggest to you that you should also set a goal for your godliness fitness. Because Paul says we should train ourselves for godliness, just like how we would train ourselves for our physical fitness. Here's what he says in 1 Timothy 4:7. He says, train yourself to be godly. This is Paul talking to his young disciple, young pastor Timothy. Why should we do it? Well, just like why we set our goals for physical fitness. It's good for our life, isn't it? When you're healthier, when you're fitter, you have more energy, you sleep better, you're less stressed, and you're more full of life. In the same way, when you train yourself for godliness, it's good for your life. That's what he says in verse 8. Paul says, for physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. It's good for this life and the life to come. So how is it good for life? Well, because when you train yourself and you improve your godliness muscles, if you will, and as your godliness muscles get stronger, you bring more out the image of God. We human beings are made and created in God's image. This is not the first time you're hearing this, because it's in the Bible. And when we bring more of the image of God, our life gets better. Our spouses have a better life because we bring more godliness through us. Our children have better parents. Our parents have better children. Our fellow Christians, our brothers and sisters at Grace, have a better church because we bring more God, more of image of God through us. So it's good for our life. Just like health brings good life to our life, when we train ourselves and we build up our godliness muscles, it brings good life to all of our contexts and all of groups that we belong to. And so Paul says you got to do it because it's good for your life. And this is what also Luther says as he comments on this particular text. He says, preserve discipline in the church and at home. This all produces fruit for many people. It's good for many people around you. So as you think about New Year's goal, as you think about your maybe health and getting fitter, you should also think about how to get better and build your godliness muscles. Now if you want to do that, then how do I do it? Here's a few things. Number one, you need to be serious about it a little bit. And you need to put your effort like an athlete puts his effort in his training. In 1 Timothy 4:7, where Paul says, train yourself to be godly. You know what the Greek word there, train, is in Greek? It's gymnasio. Guess where we got the word gym? We got the word gym from that word gymnasio. You can see it, right? You go to the gym and you sweat it and you work out. It's hard, you want to give up, but you got to do more sets. You got to do one more push-up, right? You got to put your sweat equity in it. That's what it takes. So you need to be ready to put some sweat in it. That's what Paul said when he talks about what he does. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, 24, 27, Paul calls people to work out for their godliness. And then he talks about how he does it. And then there, once again, he brings the athlete image. You've all been to the stadium and seen the athlete's race. Everyone runs, one wins. Run to win. All good athletes train hard. They do it for a gold medal that tarnishes and fades. You're after one that's gold eternally. I don't know about you, Paul says, but I'm running hard for the finish line. I'm giving it everything I've got. No sloppy living for me. I'm staying alert and in top condition. I'm not going to get caught napping, telling everyone else all about it, and then missing out myself. That's a translation by Eugene Peterson, a paraphrase of the text. But you can see how Paul was saying, I'm in this like an athlete who is participating in a competition. And he's putting his sweat equity in it so that he can, he's working out like a champion, like an athlete who wants to be a champion. And he says, you got to do that as well. That's what I'm doing. And he recommends others to do that. Growing and training ourselves in godliness. This reminds me of a boxer named Naoya Inoue. He's actually a Japanese boxer. If you're into boxer, he's like a big deal right now. He's a 3-division world champion, currently unified bantamweight world champion, having held WBA, IBF, and Ring Magazine titles since 2019. He's the best right now. One time I saw him how he works out. Every day, every morning, not only morning, but every day he's got these different times of workout. In his home, he had a workout room where he trains with his father, and then he runs with a tire hanging around him uphill. And he does this every day when he's training. And that's how he trains himself, and that's why he comes to the ring and he just brings the best boxing game ever. Becoming Christian takes no effort or any of your determination because you're born into it. God changes you, God baptizes you. But as a Christian, you're growing and maturing in godliness and learning to be like your father, imitating your father. That takes your determination, that takes your effort, that takes your sweat equity. Just like a boxer takes a lot of sweat equity and he puts it in the work, he puts in those hours. He's sweating, he's working, he's tired. And that's what it takes for us to grow, for me to grow as a godly person. So you need to do that. You need to bring that intensity of athlete. Number 2, you do it for others. We don't work out our godliness so that we can be holier than you. That means you actually need to grow better in your godliness, right? Because pride is not what we would do if we were learning from God. We're doing it to show others and to bless others. And so you need to figure out, how do I bring this to others' sake? What can I do so that my wife or my friend, my husband, my friends at the church, my parents, my children can experience godliness? So you should focus on, how do I do this for other people? Because when you do that, wherever you are in all the organizations you belong to, they will taste a little bit of taste of godliness, and they get to experience God among them. So here's a question for you. What would be your plan to train yourself in your godliness? In the continuing section of our family worship kit that we have handed out to you, there is a section called Habits. There are some questions that you should look there. It says, what can you commit to this year? Look at the following list and commit to the things you feel God is calling you to. So we've got daily personal devotion time, family devotions, married couple devotions. This is what I do also with my wife. Weekly Sunday worship. You do learn a lot about God from Sunday worship, and that's plenty for you to chew on and then practice on. Or you join a fellowship groups as we try to bring this fellowship group kind of thing to our church. So in 2022, what can you do? What will you do? So I want you to take some time, maybe tonight or tomorrow as your first day, and think about it, pray about what we talked about today, and then set some tangible goals. What are you going to do? Not just for your fitness, of your physical fitness, but for godliness fitness. And do it. Just like Nike used to tell us, just do it. Let's just do it and see what comes out of it. I'll see you next Sunday, January 2nd, 2022, and Happy New Year.